it's now time for us to do the big one. Welcome back. Now, 10 civil society organizations have petitioned President Mahama to expose persons who hide behind the non-existence of law or on the extractive industry to perpetuate corruption. The group, under the leadership of the African Center for Energy Policy, ASAP, drew a 10-point agenda demanding the president to commit to them. President Mahama is currently attending the UK Anti-Corruption Summit in London. Civil society groups at a dialogue on the anti-corruption and extractive industries called on government of Ghana to declare its commitment to fight corruption in Ghana and in the extractive industries in particular. In a statement signed by the executive director of ASAP, Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam, the group is calling on the president to commit to a 10-point anti-corruption agenda. Let me quickly run you through some of the points that they raise. An open and competitive process for awarding oil and gas and mining concessions, a mandatory requirement for the disclosure of oil and gas and mining contracts, a mandatory requirement for the establishment of a public register of beneficial owners in the extractive industry and all their associated industries interest in Ghana and abroad. Let's quickly get onto the telephone lines and speak to Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam, who is the Executive Director of African Center for Energy Policy. Good evening, sir. We're grateful that you could join us.
Good evening.
I know that you have been pushing for equity in the distribution of energy, power, and transparency in all of those. But now you're stepping up a bit by making a demand on government to commit to a 10-point agenda, which you have said. What influenced this decision of the civil society groups to bring out this 10 points for which you want government to commit to?
Well, I mean, first of all, let me say that the oil and gas industry, as well as the mining industry, they are high-value industries involving substantial amount of investment. But it is also the industry that is associated with so much secrecy, corruption, and rent-seeking behavior, especially involving public officials. So, in spite of the potential for these resources to transform the lives of people, they often leave behind what we call resource curse, where, in spite of the abundance of the wealth, people are so poor, environmental challenges here and there, social upheavals, and in some cases conflicts, violent conflicts. So we want our president to take this platform that he has been privileged to be given at the UK summit to declare the commitment of his government to this 10-point anti-corruption agenda that will seek to help fight corruption and rent-seeking behavior in the extractive industries. We have been pushing for open and competitive bidding process for oil concessions so that ministers do not decide which companies take contracts, and through that they award contracts to their own companies that are incorporated in secret jurisdictions like British Virgin Islands, Gibraltar, Cayman Islands, etc., etc. This is why, in particular, we are pushing for the establishment of a public register in which you can find all legal and beneficial owners behind the companies that we are signing contracts
right.
with.
So I get the impression from all your statements that you kind of you're not convinced of the president's commitment. He says that he is committed to the fight against corruption. You have doubts about that?
Yes, we are not convinced about this for two reasons. First of all, the government under President Mahama drafted the Petroleum Exploration and Production Bill 3 years ago. This bill is so progressive. We have extensive transparency provisions in that bill. Unfortunately, the bill hasn't seen the light of day. Whilst over the last 3 years, more than 12 oil contracts have been passed through the administrative process, to be awarded to companies that we think do not have the experience, that we think do not have the technical competence, that we think they don't have the financial muscle. And through this, companies have taken contracts and they haven't gone to site. 3 years on, they haven't gone to site. So what was the basis for selecting those contracts? If they are not going to help us discover oil or gas, it is because the process for awarding the contract is administrative, is associated with secrecy, and Ghana stands to lose if we are not able to get companies that have the muscle to find oil for our country.
Right,
this is why we think that the president is not truly committed. If the president is committed, let's pass the bill. If the president is committed, the president should use his numbers, the party's numbers in parliament to pass the right to information legislation. We want to have a clause in the petroleum bill which also criminalizes conflict of interest situation, because public officials are involved in awarding oil contracts. And unless you have a clause which criminalizes conflict of interest situation, they are going to negotiate their interest instead of negotiating the national interest.
Right, Dr. Amin Adams, we're grateful for your time, although very shortly, but we're extremely grateful. Dr. Amin Adams is Executive Director of the Africa Center for Energy Policy. Still on the big one, the Progressive People's Party, PPP, says it is disappointed with the Institute of Economic Affairs describing their conduct as unlawful. According to the party, the approach of IEA in dealing with political parties in the country is a threat to democracy.
A day after the Institute of Economic Affairs IEA launched its modalities in the conduct of the presidential debate ahead of the 2016 general elections, some political parties have expressed disappointment in their actions. Already, the two major political parties who are the main players in this year's debate have expressed disappointment in IEA for not consulting them before making their plans public.
I have also heard about some modalities and some scheduling and so on. I'm a bit surprised because my party is not aware of any modalities and any scheduling in terms of dates and so on. I would have thought that normally the IEA would speak with the parties, discuss whatever modalities they propose, whatever dates they propose, before definite announcements are made.
The medium in which the IEA put out their decision is not what they have been using with the political parties. They have IEA platform that they use to call political parties and they share discussions of such nature. But it has come as a surprise and we cannot respond spontaneously.
The Progressive People's Party, on their part, has described the conduct of the IEA as dangerous to democracy. The party says IEA's action of upholding the two dominant political parties at the expense of the less dominant ones is a threat to the country's democracy.
The road we are treading, I believe, is quite dangerous. If the IEA is not careful and they continue working with only two parties, at the end of the day, the tension is going to build so high and we might see what happened in Burkina Faso recently in Ghana.
The executive director of the party says the system of considering parties with representation in parliament is against the constitution.
If the IEA is a law-abiding organization that wants to work with political parties that are in good standing, it is easier to work with the law than to say you are working with political parties with representation in parliament, because in that case then you are going against the constitution.
The IEA barely a day had revealed it is considering holding a separate debate for the presidential candidates of the NPP and the NDC, with a separate date for the other parties without representation in parliament.
And the ruling National Democratic Congress, NDC, has given the strongest indication it might not participate in the presidential debate organized by the Institute of Economic Affairs. We have the national organizer here joining us in the studio for a discussion on that, Mr. Kofi Adams. Good evening, sir.
Good evening to you.
It's been a while, sir.
Sure.
How are you? Election time is critical for all of you.
It's very
busy
critical.
Working and all.
Very busy.
Now, IEA, you've not been happy with IEA for a long time. I mean, we're dating back to 2012 or so when your party had concerns boiling down from comments that were made by Johnson and Siedu Nketia and all. And you are saying that the IEA has not consulted you on its plans to hold a debate for NDC and MPP. How is it possible that an IEA will organize such a forum and would not consult the political parties involved? I mean, we just heard from PPP. They're obviously not happy.
I'm happy that even you yourself, you are shocked that they will do such a program, announce such a program without even giving initial consultation with the political parties. And this is supposed to be a civil society organization that seeks to build frontiers and bring about best practices. You cannot be preaching best practices and be doing something to the contrary. And we strongly protect the behavior of IEA. And like I said in some other platforms, IEA is not a headmaster that will ring a bell for the peoples to assemble at the assembly meeting grounds anytime that they so want. The IEA should take political parties serious, at least take NDC serious. If other political parties are
But do you take IEA debate serious? I mean, that's also a key question, because if President Mahama has taken part in the debates before, John Kufuor has turned down attending the debate before, then it means that John Mahama has the right, obviously, to decide that he will attend or not attend. But if you tell me that you take them serious, then it means you're committing that you would attend nonetheless.
It's not the decision of President Mahama to decide whether to take part or not. His personal wish will be that he wants to take part. But he's a candidate of a political party. And the decision to take part or not rests with the political party. The party will have to take a decision whether it wants its flag bearer or candidate for election 2016 to take part in any debate, not just organized by IEA, but any other organization that will want to organize a debate. The party will have to decide whether we are taking part in the debate or not. I believe that we all know President Mahama, that there is no platform that President Mahama would not speak and convince the gathering. At UN General Assembly, he speaks and gets standing ovation. He has addressed many platforms that he gets standing ovation. So it is not a difficulty for him to address any crowd or any gathering. Journalists have asked him questions for 2 hours. He's standing on his feet and he answers every single question without calling for any minister to assist.
But of course, President Mahama and the NDC would also be looking at a suitable platform to spread across their message ahead of the elections. And you see the IEA debate as that platform?
The IEA debate, we are helping IEA to gain credibility. And it looks like as it is over the years, because we have aided IEA, they are beginning to think that they are the ones rather that are helping.
You think they're growing wings, which
it looks
you
like,
need to clip?
It looks like we don't intend to clip anybody's wings, but we feel that we must be respected. We must be respected as a political party, serious political party, and they must take into consideration our programs in whatever it is that they do. If they feel that they can continue behaving like a headmaster, then they have a difficulty assembling the pupils, because even in today's system, headmasters don't just assemble pupils like that. They engage the SRCs of the various campuses, argue out with them, agree to a certain level, even before they communicate to the entire student body. So I think that the IEA should be a little bit more serious. I'm not surprised that many of the other parties are also speaking against the way they have gone about it, not just the NDC. We have a candidate that is wonderful, that is on top of the issues, that know he can debate on any platform. So we are not afraid of a debate, but we think that it must be an appropriate platform, well organized, well coordinated, so that Ghanaians will be the bigger beneficiary of any such process. It should not just be the case that you want to do a debate, so you are doing a debate. No.
So are you able to tell us if President Mahama will attend or not? Emphatic. I mean, we noticed you've been giving indications he might not, but can you say emphatically that he will or will not?
Steve, as we speak now, no institutions has approached the NDC for any debate for the 2016 general elections. If we get such advances, we will analyze it appropriately, and the right executive body of the party will take a decision whether we want to take part or not, including IEA. I've heard NCCE too at the beginning of the year announcing that they will do a debate. We'll receive all proposals, we weigh them and see which of these platforms will be most credible platform to allow our candidate.
So what, the decision to attend any debate will be based on your assessment of credibility?
So we have
you just said that.
Of course,
so
that will be part of it. You think that we just go in?
So, for example, if NCC, we're hearing that the NCC is planning organizing a debate like that. If NCC calls for such a debate, would you attend? Or you would also still evaluate the credibility of
NCC? We all know NCC is a state institution, respected, and it has all the capacity. So nobody will doubt the NCC if he says he wants to organize a debate. But what will go into the NCC debate, of course, we will be interested in knowing. And nobody will doubt NCC. It's a state institution, it's funded by the state, and of course, they cover broadly. They intend to also do debate, I'm told, for the parliamentary levels, and then they will do the presidential dialogue. All that we are waiting. We will debate it and look at it and then take the decision.
Right, Mr. Kofi Adams, I will have you quickly hold, but we'll get onto the telephone lines. Dr. Ransford Jampo is a senior political science lecturer at the University of Ghana. He's joining us to share thoughts on this. Good evening, sir. We're grateful you could join.
Hi, pleasure.
So I know that the IEA debates over the years have proven helpful to Ghanaians using that to make a decision on who to vote for or not to vote for. There have been questions on moderate choice of moderators and all of that. But do you think generally that the IEA platform is one that the sitting presidents, and for example, and the opposition leaders should not turn their back on if things are done correctly?
Well, I think over the years, beginning from 2000, they have organized debates for presidential aspirants. And it's been on and on, 2000, 2004, 2008, 2012, and then they've also indicated their intention to have another debate in preparation towards the 2016 elections. I think so far what has happened is that oftentimes when there is going to be the debate, you have this back and forth, people raising concerns and people raising issues. But of course, it is to be expected in a fledgling democracy, like ours. And so I'm not really worried about some of the issues that I'm hearing being raised. I mean, they may be legitimate, and if they are legitimate reasons and concerns, it is important that I know the IEA has a Ghana Political Parties program. It should be ironed out there. But the point is that as we grow and climb higher the ladder of democratic progression, we should look at the essence and importance of presidential debates beyond the translating tangibly into votes. In our part of the world, presidential debate may influence voter choice only, among those we refer to as electoral kingmakers, the undecided voters. I mean, these are the category of voters who oftentimes listen to what the various aspirants present on debate platform and then make their minds on that. The core supporters, oftentimes, it is difficult for us to have what we call partisan de-alignment, among them. So once he's a core supporter of the CPP or NDC or PNC or MPP,
it remains so, and his or her vote will surely go for that.
For the floating voters, they tend to look at some of these things. But beyond that, let us look at the fact that oftentimes in the lead up to elections, people store water, people go to prayer camps, people store gari, and they do all manner of things because there is always the fear of democratic relapse, which the people think may occur because of violence and all that. And the violence and the acrimony, the rancor that oftentimes get featured in our body politic is as a result of insults and the use of intemperate language in the lead up to elections. And oftentimes when you go to observe people behaving during party rallies, you realize that voters go there, or party supporters just go there, they go and dance, they go and keep fit, and then they go and do all manner of things. Party leaders go, mount platform, and they say all manner of things without addressing issues.
Right.
And you go interview these voters. What did the person say? Well, what they will tell them, well, we know the person spoke very well, but they don't have exactly what the person said on their fingertips. Now, if you conduct presidential debates, it focuses or shifts the attention of electioneering campaign to issues-based campaigning. I mean, you are forced to talk about the issues. And so last 2012, it was between free education and accessible education. And these were the issues that were discussed in the body politic. In so doing, it lowers the political tension. How does it do that? You see the various aspirants on one platform engaged in a healthy contest of ideas and exchanging pleasantries afterwards and all that. It sends a trickle-down effect to the supporters that, look, after all, politics is not about war. It's about the healthy contest of ideas and all that. And then it becomes an accountability mechanism for the citizenry. You remember President Mills in 2008...
Dr. Jampo, I'm afraid we might have to end our conversation. We're very grateful. I apologize, but you've made your point very clearly, and thanks very much. Mr. Kofi Adams, I have to wrap up with you now.
But who is deceiving IEA that it was out as a result of their debate that people made decision between a choice for accessible and quality education as opposed to free education? We have solidly presented our message long before that debate, so they shouldn't be deceiving themselves about that.
So will you say President Mahama will take part in our debate if he's informed appropriately through the party mechanisms?
If they bring the information to us, we will debate it.
Right.
I will not conclude here that whether we will or we will not. I cannot say. But they haven't started well. They have started badly, and it has affected the relationship that we have.
Right, Mr. Kofi Adams, we're grateful for your time, and thanks very much for making time to join us. My name is Stephen Anti, and this is The Big One.